Hey everyone, I'm here today taking a look at the Dr. Ian Malcom Glider Escape Pack from Mattel's Jurassic Park 93 Classic line. And here's the really nice packaging. It's got this artwork of Ian Malcom with his glider pack on, firing a bazooka at a Dilophosaurus to blow it away, and the little baby Triceratops just watching in amazement. And this is to replicate the kind of packaging design that Kenner used back in 1993 when the first Jurassic Park films toy line came out. And it's very nostalgic, it's a very cool homage, and I've always loved that kind of red and yellow sky background of the old packaging. On the back of the packaging here, they've tried to replicate the dioramas that were on the back of the original Jurassic Park packaging for Kenner, but it doesn't look as good because it's basically all just done on computers now. Like with the original packaging, they actually built the cool dioramas and posed the figures in, and it looked so good. When it's just kind of CGI'd in like this with a computer background, it doesn't look as good. But it shows you some other toys in the line, that awesome red T-Rex we got last year, Alan Grant and the Gallimimus. And then of course you've got half the packaging taken up with a wall of text of gobbledygook in a million different languages that no one reads anyway. It's kind of a waste of the back of the packaging. You'd think they'd advertise the other toys better. Like, they're just tiny little pictures of the other toys available. Like, surely the back of the packaging should be used to actually advertise other toys in the line to get kids excited for them, not just an afterthought in a tiny little corner like that. I've never understood that in modern toy packaging, while I don't advertise other toys more on the back. But it was the dioramas on the back of the original packaging that inspired me to start coming outdoors and taking photos of my Jurassic Park toys out and trying to create realistic looking backgrounds for them, and then in turn start doing these reviews outdoors, all because of that original Jurassic Park packaging. So I wish they'd actually go to the effort of building proper dioramas to pose them in, rather than just kind of superimposing them over the back of a CGI background like that. You get some instructions inside the packaging, but it's all pretty easy to put together anyway. You don't really need these. It's all pretty simple how it works. So first off, you've got this little Hatchling Triceratops. It's kind of cool getting hatchlings. All the Kenneth action figures of humans used to come with a little dinosaur hatchling. It's kind of cool, so I'm glad to see that return. It's got this capture gear that kind of just slips over the back of the dinosaur. You just kind of clip it over like that, and then I guess Ian can carry it off. It's quite a nice sculpt. There's not all that much paint detail other than around the face. You've got a bit of white around the eyes, and then the horns and the eyes are painted, but the rest is unpainted. But it's a really nice sculpt for a little Triceratops. It's kind of nice to get a little hatchling of it. It'd be nice to get one of Bumpy from Camp Cretaceous. I think it looks best paired up with this green adult Triceratops that we got a few years ago, even though the greens don't quite match. This younger one's a lot deeper green, but still it probably goes best with this one. Now the Dilophosaurus, and this is the main thing that drew me to this set, because I've been wanting to get a Dilophosaurus without a frill on it for years from Mattel. This is the first one we've had in the main line. He comes with some capture gear. He's got a muzzle that just slips over his head. I always like it when they have this capture gear of like muzzles to go over the dinosaurs' heads. I think that's quite cool. Because you used to get that on a lot of the Lost World dinosaurs, so I'm kind of nostalgic for that. Looks pretty good. It's got like a metal plate in front of the Dilophosaurus' eye, which makes sense, and obviously keeping the Dilophosaurus' mouth closed so it can't start spitting venom. Like I say, that just kind of slides over the head like that. It's a very soft, rubbery kind of plastic, gummy kind of plastic. And then it's got these chains going from its wrists to its ankles, which looks, I don't know, that's kind of a weird way to chain up a dinosaur, like he's a prisoner of Alcatraz or something. I just find that it's sort of weird capture gear, just chains on his wrists and ankles like he's about to walk the Green Mile. But they just clip on and off over the wrists and the ankles. Very simple to get that on there and take it off. And then underneath you've got this new Dilophosaurus mould, which is what I've been wanting for ages. It hasn't got the frill. The mouth opens and closes. It's not attached to any kind of action feature, and it's not stuck moulded open. You can actually open and close the mouth. Very simple articulation on the rest of the body though. It's just the arms and legs go kind of forward and backwards and up and down. The legs are really stiff. Like, I can barely move them, and I'm always worried I'm going to break them. Legs are really, really stiff, but the arms move easily. But yeah, it's kind of a shame that the articulation's so simple on it. It would have been nice if it had a bit more of the updated articulation with the arms and legs being able to go out to the side as well. Quite a nice paint job. I like the deep green of it, and this kind of zigzag stripe going down the body is a bit reminiscent of the Kenner toys. but it's pretty small. Like if I bring in this Dilophosaurus, and this is that first Dilophosaurus sculpt that we got from Mattel, you can see it scales up with that, and it's about the same kind of size, just to give you some idea how tall it is. See, compared to these two, he's a bit on the smallish side. It doesn't look too bad. It's not completely out of proportion. It's just a Dilophosaurus that's a little bit smaller or a little bit younger. So it still fits in, but I would have rather it was just a tad bigger to fit in more with the newer Dilophosauruses rather than that older one that we had. It does make for a pretty cool group of Dilophosauruses now, like the four of them together, because they all look quite unique from each other and different, but they're all the same kind of colour scheme that scream that, you know, Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus, the green with the really colourful frill. They look very cool together. The sculpt on the face looks a bit softer on this new one though. It's not as detailed as on that mainline Dilophosaurus. I think I got this one with the Chaos Theory Ben figure pack. And this is a really awesome Dilophosaurus. A bit bigger, it's really nice detailing. The frill looks bigger and is better sculpted and painted. Compared to that, this Dilophosaurus here just looks a bit soft in terms of the sculpt on the face. Almost more cartoony, which may be deliberate to kind of fit in with that JP93 aesthetic of being a bit more toyetic and a bit more cartoony rather than accurate to the movies. And now for the Ian Malcom figure. He's got the standard articulation that you get on one of the regular or Legacy Collection human figures. The arms go round and out to the side and bend at the elbow and swivel at the elbow. Head's on a ball joint, swivel at the waist, legs go out to the side, and then the knees bend and all that. So, you know what you're getting with that. This Ian Malcom, he's got a pretty standard kind of Ian Malcom outfit on. If I bring in the Legacy Collection one to compare, you can see it's just a variation of his outfit from the first film when he takes his jacket off and he's got that black shirt underneath with the sleeves rolled up. But I like how it looks on this one more than the Legacy Collection one. The head sculpt is also so much better on this new one. That head sculpt on the Legacy Collection Ian Malcom I thought was really ugly looking. They've nailed it a lot better with this new head sculpt. And I guess you could pop the head off this new one and put it on the original one if you wanted the slightly more movie accurate body, but with a better head sculpt. But personally, I'm happy with them the way they are. I kind of like Ian Malcom having the black fingerless gloves, even though he doesn't have them in the movie. The action figure of Ian Malcom that I had when I was a kid from The Lost World did. And that seems to be more what this figure's based on. So I think the Ian Malcom figure for the first movie actually had the leather jacket on over the top. It was his figure for The Lost World, where he was in the black shirt with his sleeves rolled up, and he had the black fingerless gloves. So I'm glad that they've gone for that look for this figure, because I'm really kind of nostalgic for that. So this will now be the default Ian Malcom figure in my display in my collection. But he comes with a couple of accessories. He's got this glider pack, which has these straps that kind of plug in at the bottom there. There's a hole and it clips in there like that. And there's a peg on the back there as well that goes into a hole in the back of Ian Malcom. So you just kind of slide him through there, get the peg in the hole in his back, and then peg this bit into the bottom there. The glider fits really well on his back, and the figure actually balances really well with it on too. I thought it would be too kind of back heavy and you'd have trouble standing him up, but he balances really well, even out here where the ground's uneven. If you turn him round and you can see it's got this kind of green neon look on the back there. And that's because I think it was the figure of Ian Malcom from the first movie, I'm not sure, but there was a figure of him that came with a backpack that had neon green, but it wasn't the glider figure, because the glider figure actually came with the Lost World Ian Malcom, or a variation of the Lost World Ian Malcom. So they've kind of amalgamated two different Kenner Ian Malcom figures. They've based the general design on his Lost World figure. They've given him a glider like one of his Lost World variants had, but they've put the kind of neon green on the backpack like I think an original Jurassic Park Ian Malcom came with, and not a Lost World one. But I'm sure it wasn't the glider pack that had the neon green backpack. But I kind of like that they've merged them all together, because we don't need multiple variations of Ian Malcom with gimmicky backpacks. I think it's a good idea to just merge all the best parts together into one set like this. But I kind of wish the glider was actually a real glider. Like, you know, you can get action figures that come with a real parachute or a real glider, and it's made of a kind of softer polythene or whatever kind of plastic, so you can actually throw the figure through the air like a paper aeroplane and it would actually glide. Like, that would have been so cool and so much fun to do, rather than just this one which is hard plastic. I mean, if you try and make this one glide, it's just going to fall straight to the floor. But that would have been kind of a cool idea. Maybe they could do a variation of that with Billy, if they were to release Billy in this JP93 line. I know Billy wasn't in the first movie, but if they extend it to include characters from all the different movies and Camp Cretaceous even, they could do loads of cool stuff. And you could release a Billy figure with an actual working parachute or glider, like I just described. It also comes with this massive missile launcher, and this is very nostalgic to Kenner toys in the 90s. Like, every action figure that Kenner released in the 90s had an oversized missile launcher with them. They're superhero figures, they're movie figures from like Aliens and Jurassic Park and Terminator. They always came with these massive missile launchers, and I was actually never really very keen on them. Because if you've got your figures on display on the shelf, the missile launcher is the same size as the figure, so it kind of dwarfs it, and you just have a shelf that looks like it's full of junk, because you can barely actually see the figures themselves past their massive, silly-looking weapons. They don't balance with these weapons either. Like, there's no way he'd stand up holding that up. Like, is it too heavy? And even if he did balance, it's too heavy for his arm to hold up. So it's like a double whammy of it's too heavy and it's too heavy for his arm to hold. So you have to kind of balance it like that. But I can understand why they included it, because like this whole series is about nostalgia for the 90s toy line, and massive missile launchers like this are very 90s. But it actually is pretty powerful. Like, it does work well. Hey, knocked him down. It's a really fun set. I only originally got it because I wanted the Dilophosaurus, but I'm actually really glad I got this Ian Malcom figure as well. I like him better than that Legacy Collection one. So yeah, it's a pretty fun pack. I do like it. I even like the glider, even though it's kind of silly. I mean, Billy did use one in Jurassic Park 3, so I don't know, I guess it's not that outlandish to imagine that maybe Ian Malcom would strap one on and glide through Nublar. But it's a cool set. I like the little baby Triceratops as well. These are pretty hard to get hold of in the UK though. Like Legacy Collection stuff, JP93 stuff, the Chaos Through, human figures, like the Hammond Collection. None of it's released at regular retail in the UK anymore. We barely get anything other than the basic mainline dinosaurs. So that's why I'm so late with a lot of these reviews, because you just don't get the stuff over here. And if you do, it's off of eBay for like twice the price that it should be. So I end up having to wait the best part of a year to get it at a sensible price or at all, which is kind of frustrating. And thanks for watching anyway, even though this is like a year late in reviewing. Hopefully I'll catch you again soon.